I still remember that cold December night. The clock showed 11:45 p.m. when I found Sarah's second phone hidden inside her old shoebox. My hands were shaking. This wasn't just any phone. It was a secret she had kept from me for the past 3 years of our marriage. Let me start from the beginning. That night, I came home early from my business trip. I wanted to surprise Sarah. After 5 years of marriage, she was still the woman who made my heart skip a beat. I had even bought her favorite chocolates from the airport. The house was dark when I entered. Sarah had texted she was working late at her office. I decided to use this time to organize our bedroom closet, something she always wanted me to do. While arranging her shoes, I found this old red Nike shoebox. It felt unusually heavy. Inside, wrapped in her old scarf, was a Samsung phone I had never seen before. My heart started racing. We shared everything, our passwords, our social media, our lives. Or at least, that's what I thought. I sat on the bed, staring at the phone. Should I turn it on? Was I breaking her trust? But why would my wife hide a phone from me? Thousands of questions flooded my mind. With trembling fingers, I pressed the power button. The screen lit up. No password. My heart nearly stopped when I saw the wallpaper. It was Sarah, but she looked different. Wearing clothes I had never seen, at places we had never been to. The first message I opened changed everything. It was from someone saved as my love. The text read, "Missing you already. Last night was amazing. I can't wait to see you again tomorrow." The date on the message? Yesterday. I heard a car pull up in our driveway. Sarah was home. The phone in my hand suddenly felt like it weighed a ton. In just 5 minutes, my perfect marriage had started to crumble. But what I discovered next would shake the very foundation of everything I believed in. I quickly put the phone back in a box, my mind racing with questions. Who was she meeting? Where did she go? How long had this been going on? The sound of her keys jingling at the front door echoed through the house. I had to act normal, but my whole world had just turned upside down. What happened next would reveal a truth so shocking, it would change not just my life, but the lives of everyone around us. Sarah walked into our bedroom with her usual warm smile. "Mike, you're home early." She hugged me, but I felt cold inside. Her perfume, which I had always loved, now made me sick. Was this the same scent she wore when meeting my love? "Yeah, thought I'd surprise you," I managed to say. "How was work?" "Oh, busy as usual. Back-to-back meetings." She started changing her clothes. I watched her, wondering how many other lies she had told me. That night, I couldn't sleep. Sarah lay peacefully next to me, while I fought the urge to grab that phone again. Around 3 a.m., she got up to use the bathroom. I pretended to be asleep, but watched her through barely open eyes. She checked her regular phone and smiled at something. The next morning, I called in sick to work. I needed to know more. As soon as Sarah left, I took out the secret phone again. My hands were steadier this time, but my heart wasn't. The photo gallery was full of surprises. Sarah at expensive restaurants I'd never heard of. Sarah in a luxury car that wasn't ours. Sarah wearing jewelry I had never bought her. But the most shocking photo was from just 2 weeks ago. Sarah at some party, her hand on a man's chest, both laughing. I zoomed in on the man's face and nearly dropped the phone. I knew him. Everyone knew him. It was James Carter, the famous business tycoon who owned half the city's real estate. The same man whose company Sarah's firm did legal work for. The messages between them told a story that made me sick. They had been meeting for months, but something wasn't adding up. Some messages hinted at the plan and making sure everything was in place. This wasn't just an affair. There was more to it. I scrolled further and found a video. My hands shook as I pressed play. It showed Sarah in what looked like an office talking to James. But their conversation wasn't romantic. They were discussing bank accounts, property papers, and something about offshore companies. "Once Mike signs those investment papers next week, everything will be set," Sarah's voice said in the video. "He trusts me completely." Investment papers? My mind raced to the stack of documents Sarah had given me 2 days ago. "Just some routine investment stuff," she had said. "Great returns, honey. Sign them before the opportunity expires." I ran to my study and grabbed those papers. As I read each page carefully now, my blood ran cold. This wasn't a simple investment plan. I was about to sign away everything I owned. But why would Sarah do this? What was her connection with James Carter? Just then, my regular phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. Be careful who you trust. Sarah isn't who you think she is. Meet me at City Park at 2 p.m. if you want to know the truth. I stared at the message. Should I go? Could this be a trap? But I needed answers. Looking at my watch, I saw it was already 1:30 p.m. I reached City Park at exactly 2 p.m. My heart was beating fast as I sat on the bench near the old fountain. Every person walking by made me nervous. Who sent that message? After 15 minutes, a woman in her mid-40s sat next to me. She wore large sunglasses and looked familiar. Mike Thompson, she asked quietly. I nodded. I'm Linda Carter, James Carter's wife. My jaw dropped. She removed her sunglasses, and I recognized her from newspaper photos. Your wife and my husband, she started, then stopped to control her emotions. They're not just having an affair. They're running a massive scam. Linda opened her handbag and pulled out a file. Sarah isn't just a simple lawyer at Morrison & Partners. She specifically targets wealthy clients, gains their trust, and then she handed me some papers. My hands trembled as I read them. They were police reports. 3 different men had lost everything they owned in the past 2 years. All 3 had signed investment papers. All 3 had dealt with Sarah. James and Sarah work together, Linda continued. They find successful men, and Sarah gets close to them. Sometimes as their lawyer, sometimes. She looked at me with pity. As their wife. I felt sick. The park started spinning around me. But why are you telling me this? Because you're their next target. And because they killed my brother when he discovered their scam. Linda's voice cracked. Tom was their first victim. When he threatened to expose them, they arranged a car accident. Suddenly, Linda tensed up. Someone's watching us. She quickly stood up. Check your house's security camera footage from 3 months ago. Look for any late-night visits when you were away. She hurried away, leaving me with the file. I rushed home and accessed our security system's cloud storage. Going back 3 months, I found something strange. At 2 a.m., when I was on a business trip, a van had parked outside our house. 2 men carried something heavy inside. Sarah let them in. The next footage showed them leaving after an hour. The same van returned the next night. More men, more mysterious boxes. What had they brought into our house? I had to find out. I searched every room, but found nothing unusual. Then I remembered the basement. We never used it much. Sarah had recently said she'd organize it and told me not to bother going down there because of all the dust and mess. Standing at the basement door, I heard a faint beeping sound. As I turned the handle, my phone rang. It was Sarah. Honey, where are you? I'm coming home early today. Got a surprise for you. I could hear the van's engine in the background. My heart raced. Sarah was coming home, and I was about to discover what was in the basement. I had maybe 15 minutes before she arrived. With shaking hands, I opened the basement door. The beeping sound grew louder. Clicking on my phone's flashlight, I walked down the stairs. The air felt heavy and different. What I saw next made my blood freeze. Behind the old furniture and boxes was a hidden door, professionally installed. The beeping came from its electronic lock. My birthday was usually Sarah's password for everything, so I tried 0-4-1-2-8-9. Click. The door opened to reveal a small room. Inside, 3 large computers were running. Screens showed numbers, bank accounts, and property documents. On the wall hung photos of me. Photos of other men, too. Each had notes attached. Target 1, complete. Target 2, complete. Target 3, in progress. I was Target 4. A file on the desk caught my eye. Operation Clean Sweep was written on top. Inside were detailed plans, not just to take my money, but to completely destroy my life. Sarah had documents ready to frame me for fraud. Once I signed those investment papers, they would transfer all my money, then report me for financial crimes. But the most shocking thing was a small notebook. It contained Sarah's real story. She wasn't Sarah Mitchell, the simple lawyer I married. Her real name was Emma Brooks. She had changed her identity 5 times in the past 10 years. My loving wife of 5 years was a ghost. The sound of a car door slamming upstairs made me jump. Sarah was home. I quickly took photos of everything with my phone, grabbed the notebook, and rushed upstairs. Just as I closed the basement door, I heard keys in the front door. "Mike? Honey, I'm home." Sarah's voice called out. I heard another voice too, a man's voice. "Is everything ready?" the male voice asked quietly. I recognized it. James Carter. "Yes, once he signs tomorrow, we'll finish it," Sarah replied. I stood frozen, listening to their footsteps getting closer. They were coming towards the basement door, where I was standing. Suddenly, my phone buzzed loudly in my pocket. Sarah and James stopped talking. "Mike? Is that you down there?" I had nowhere to run. My mind raced faster than ever. I had seconds to decide. The basement door was behind me, Sarah and James were in front, and in my pocket was proof of their entire operation. "Yeah, honey. Just checking the fuse box," I shouted back, trying to sound normal. Power was flickering in my study. "Oh, let me help you," Sarah said. Her footsteps got closer. I quickly pulled out my phone and pressed record, then stepped away from the door just as it opened. Sarah stood there, looking perfect as always, but now I saw through her mask. Behind her, James Carter tried to hide his surprise at seeing me. "Mike, you remember James Carter? He stopped by to discuss those investment papers." Sarah smiled sweetly. "Of course. The famous James Carter." I forced a smile, shaking his hand. "Actually, I was just thinking about those papers." Sarah's eyes lit up. "Really? Are you ready to sign them?" "Almost. Just need to check one small thing at the bank first," I said, watching their faces carefully. "They called about some unusual transfers from our joint account." Sarah's smile flickered for a split second. James coughed uncomfortably. "Transfers? Must be a mistake," Sarah laughed, but her eyes had turned cold. "I'll call them tomorrow." "No need. I'm meeting them in an hour," I said, moving towards the stairs. "Want to come with me, Sarah?" Before she could answer, both our phones rang at the same time. It was a news alert. Breaking. Police uncover major financial fraud ring. Multiple arrests expected. The color drained from Sarah's face. James grabbed his phone, cursing under his breath. "I need to go," James said quickly, heading for the door. "Wait," Sarah called after him, panic in her voice. "What about the plan?" "What plan?" I asked innocently. Sarah turned to me, and for the first time, I saw something dangerous in her eyes. She reached into her bag. "I'm sorry, Mike," she said softly. "You really shouldn't have gone into the basement." The next few seconds felt like slow motion. As Sarah pulled something from her bag, the front door burst open. "Police. Nobody move." Linda Carter walked in behind the officers, pointing at Sarah and James. "That's them." But Sarah was faster than anyone expected. She threw something that filled the air with smoke. People started coughing and shouting. Through the chaos, I heard a back door slam. Sarah was escaping, but she didn't know about the black notebook in my pocket, the one that held all her secrets. As the smoke cleared, James was in handcuffs, but Sarah was gone. An officer helped me outside, where I could finally breathe. "Sir," the officer said, "you need to see this." He pointed to my car. My car's trunk was open. Inside was a black duffel bag I'd never seen before. The officer pulled on gloves and carefully unzipped it. Stacks of cash, fake passports, and a laptop were inside, all with Sarah's fingerprints on them. "She's been planning her escape," Linda said, standing next to me. "But she made one mistake. She trusted James too much." James Carter was let out in handcuffs, his face pale. Sarah. She's not just running a scam," he blurted out, hoping to save himself. "She's working for someone bigger. Someone more dangerous." My phone buzzed again. A text from Sarah. "You should have signed those papers, Mike. Now you'll lose everything anyway. Check your email." With trembling hands, I opened my email. Sarah had sent company documents to all my clients, documents showing I had been stealing from them for years. All expertly forged, all seemingly real. Don't worry, Linda smiled, pulling out a USB drive. We've been tracking her for months. We have proof that these documents are fake. But something still bothered me. The smoke bomb, the escape plan, the perfectly timed email. It was too perfect. Almost like she wanted to get caught. I suddenly realized. This whole thing, it's a distraction. Running back into the house, I went straight to the basement computers. The screens were still on, but now they showed something different. A countdown timer. 3 minutes and 42 seconds. 3 minutes and 41 seconds. 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Everyone out now, an officer shouted, recognizing what it meant. As we ran outside, I remembered Sarah's words from last week. Sometimes you have to lose everything to win the bigger game. The timer hit 0 just as we reached the street. But instead of an explosion, every computer in the house started beeping. Screens lit up with the same message. Transfer complete. All assets moved. Sarah hadn't just been targeting me. While everyone focused on the dramatic escape and fake documents, her program was silently draining bank accounts, not just mine, but those of every rich client at her law firm. My phone rang one last time. Unknown number. Hello, Mike. Sarah's voice was different now, colder, professional. Thank you for playing your part so perfectly. The smoke, the chase, the police, you all did exactly what I expected. The money's gone, laundered through 100 different accounts in the time it took you to run out of the house. Why, was all I could ask. Because you were all so easy to fool. The loving wife, the simple lawyer, the perfect marriage. You saw what you wanted to see. But want to know the real truth. I heard helicopters in the distance. Look up, Mike. Looking up, I saw 3 helicopters circling the area. But Sarah's voice held no fear. Those helicopters won't find me. She laughed softly. Want to know why? Walk to your mailbox. Like a puppet following strings, I walked to our mailbox. Inside was a single photograph, taken 5 years ago, on our wedding day. But something was different. In the background, barely visible, was a familiar face. Linda Carter. Still don't understand? Sarah's voice held a hint of pride. Linda isn't James Carter's wife. She never was. She's my handler. The world spun around me. Linda had disappeared from the scene. 5 years ago, we started the biggest undercover operation to catch James Carter and his entire criminal network. We needed someone on the inside, a wife, a trusted partner. Every man he scammed, every fake investment, every accident, we were building a case. So our marriage, our life, my voice cracked, was my deep cover assignment. But something unexpected happened, Mike. Her voice softened slightly. I really did fall in love with you. That's why I made sure you were never actually involved in any illegal transactions. Check your accounts. I pulled out my phone. My bank accounts were untouched. Only Carter's network had been drained. The money we seized today will be returned to all victims of Carter's previous scams. As for me, a black SUV with government plates pulled up. I have a new assignment, Agent Brooks. A man in a suit stepped out of the SUV. Time to go. Goodbye, Mike. Sarah, or Agent Emma Brooks, said quietly. The divorce papers are in the kitchen drawer. I'm sorry I had to break your heart to break this case. The line went dead. Later that night, sitting alone in my house, I found one last note in Sarah's handwriting. Sometimes love is real even when everything else is a lie. I'll always remember the man who made me wish my fake life was real. The news next day revealed everything. James Carter's billion-dollar criminal empire was destroyed. Dozens of corrupt officials were arrested. But no one mentioned the mysterious agent who made it all possible. 3 months later, I received a package. Inside was my grandmother's ring, the one I had given Sarah on our wedding day. Attached was a small note. Some things are too real to keep pretending. Thank you for teaching me what love feels like. I never saw Sarah or Agent Brooks again. But sometimes on quiet nights, I wonder if somewhere out there, she's living another life, wearing another name, breaking another heart to save more lives. They say truth is stranger than fiction. But in my case, The truth was that my wife's secret phone didn't just reveal a double life. It revealed a triple life. And the biggest lie of all? That she never loved me. Because sometimes, in a world of lies, the only real thing is the love we never meant to feel.